This life's a boat, Zach Bryan told us. It all comes in waves. And for the class of 2027, the biggest wave is building in the distance as they eagerly await next summer in their recruiting cycle. You were watching Coffee and Curveballs. I'm Cory McCartney. That's Shooter Hunt. And Shooter, I key this up as what awaits for the players, but let's spin this to the coach and program's perspectives. They just finished landing their 2026s, signing their 2025s, and now comes the breakneck pace for evaluating the sophomore class, all with the looming potential of changes to the roster cap at the Division I level, what it means to making informed decisions, building a list of priority targets, and ultimately, this is about managing risks.
Oh, without a doubt. And they can't grab that risk and just wait, push it off into a distance. Grabbing these names early and often, which is why we extended this list to 350 players, so coaches can get more guys on their radar in their plans and hopes for August 1 to finally make that contact. But to make those decisions, they do have to get those looks. Even while the NCAA tries to figure out this 34-man roster limit, regardless of any of that, these guys are continuing to get better, and there are certainly going to be some superstars in this bunch.
The entire top 350 are available at prepbaseball.com, so make sure you check that out. But the top three, they remain unchanged. Jared Grindlinger out of California, number one, followed by Pennsylvania's Graham Keene and Florida State commit Chase Fuller from Florida. Why do they continue to hold down these spots as 2024 comes to an end? And how much, if any, gap do you see between them and the rest of the top 10?
I just think the upside of all these guys is immense, right? We can split it up, and a lot of this goes into a grouping of all these guys are going to have a chance to grow. We will monitor it for the next 3 years in as they go and journey towards the MLB draft of 2027. But Grindlinger at the top really had a nice fall, played with Team USA, can really swing the bat. It's something that position player wise, you really have to follow that. Although he's got a low 90s fastball, full arsenal, one of the top arms at Huntington Beach as just a freshman last year, which says a lot for that program. But guys can hit and impact the baseball. Like, has good bloodlines. His brother's going to Mississippi State as a catcher of this year's team. I think that's one of the big reasons why he remained our number one prospect in the class. But Graham Keene, 6'5", can play all over the diamond. He's up into the low 90s. It's an absolutely analytics darling, just off the page stuff with regards to blast motion. TrackMan hits the ball hard, hits the ball far. Still plenty to dream on with that frame. He's going to continue to fill that out. And then Chase Fuller, again, I saw him last year with a team that, I mean, shoot, Lincoln High was an absolute college program. These guys were square shouldered, huge, imposing lineup. And as just a freshman, Chase Fuller was not out of place. It was hard to believe that that guy was in high school, let alone just a freshman. He could do it on the bump. He could do it at the plate. You're just going to bet on an athlete like that to figure it out and continue to rise. And in the end, any of those three guys, as well as several others here, could be number one in the end.
There were two big movers within the top 10. South Carolina left-hander Connor Salerno and Logan Schmidt, another lefty out of California. Salerno moves up to from 4th to 7th back in September. Schmidt climbs from 20th to now 5th. Let's focus a little bit more here on Salerno, who we've seen in person at Lake Point Sports. What ultimately led to that big jump?
Well, I think a huge key in this top 10 as we're monitoring and the class continues to show itself, there's so much value in frontline starter potential southpaws, right? The right-handers, a little bit less value, a little bit more risk outside of the high front upside. Salerno has just done nothing but improve himself and increase his stock, honestly. It's up in the low 90s, three-pitch mix, the moxie on the mound. He places the ball wherever he wants, and he hunts whiffs, which I love about him. Add to that, he's got a big, durable frame that's only going to get better, quick arm. You can say the same thing about Logan Schmidt, who's up into the low 90s, low to mid 90s now. Schmidt can also swing the bat, both really good athletes. You bet on those athletes. They're left-handed. God gave them a wonderful gift of being left-handed. So good for them for making the most of it. And we're going to continue to watch those guys. Those are two names I have circled as must-sees this spring.
Let's talk newcomers to these proceedings and start with New Mexico's Colton Floyd. Opens some eyes at the plate and on the mound. Oh, and he's 6'6", 210 pounds, and now finds himself at 47th in the class.
Yeah, it's an absolute dude coming out of New Mexico. Shea Sobrani ran a great event there, New Mexico State Games. Got to see all sorts of talent. Ball also really flies in Albuquerque. I've taken BP there. I hit balls way further than I ever had before. But Floyd can do it two-way. He does it on the mound, but it's the bat again. He impacts the baseball, tight turns from the right side. Really good athlete. Excited to see what he brings to the new year.
That's a lot of exciteds. Florida and Texas well represented among these newcomers. Let's start with Florida. There are four key additions. Right-hander Logan Bristol at 60th, shortstop Nathaniel Sabino at 150, outfielder Jake Cueto at 152, and Alejandro Rivero at 154. Guys that shooter all made some noise in November at the Florida Super Sophomore Games.
Yeah, I was so bummed I couldn't get down to Miami there in Coral Gables because the event was incredible. I had serious FOMO. Caden Hasser, Rocco, Connor all did a great job getting that event off the board. But Logan Bristol was a right-hander that I was glued to. Looks the part. He's 6'3", clean down the mound. Another guy hunting whiffs in the zone with the fastball. Looks the part of a potential Friday night starter in the making. Hopefully seeing him at the future games later in July because he will draw a crowd much like that Florida-Georgia game under the lights last year did.
Texas counters four newcomers of their own. You got outfielder Cash Clayton at 74, right-hander Reed Dursky at 87, lefty Jack Richard Vasquez at 98, and shortstop Landon Martinez coming in at 111.
Another underclass state games. I was at A&M to see a lot of these guys, which was outstanding. And even Florida, Texas, Georgia, California, you always want to have a bunch of those guys. The track record is simply there over the history of many years. Those guys are going to continue to get better. There will probably be more of them that we have not seen yet. Can't wait to find more of them. Reed Dursky was a right-hander who just really moves well. He's an athlete, looks like a shortstop on the mound. He's going to have considerable jumps. Landon Martinez is a guy that just looks the part, short, left-handed hitter. It slows things down with ease, can drive the ball to all fields. He's only going to get better. All these guys are still growing into their frames. They're going to get stronger. Just expect success. I'm excited to see what they bring. Man, I'm really excited about a lot in this class.
Tennessee's DJ Lowry, another guy to be excited of, jumps into the fray at 109. The Knoxville Catholic outfielder and shortstop. This guy exudes athleticism, a four-sport athlete, football, basketball, track, and baseball fill in this guy's schedule.
It's been over a year now that Hunter Martin, our scouting director in Tennessee, has been banging on my door saying, hey, this Lowry kid can ball. At this point, I can no longer ignore it. We had to move him up into these rankings. He's in, like you said, Knoxville Catholic, really good football program there, Knoxville Catholic. But I'm excited. This entire Tennessee class we've talked about before, led by Banks Addison. And I think there's like 5 or 6 guys in the top 100. You know what? At this point, I just can't ignore the state of Tennessee. I may have to just go out there this spring and see them earlier than the summer.
Well, the stage is set as these sophomores begin their preparations for their second high school season, the anticipation as well for next summer's recruiting cycle. Make sure you keep it locked right here as we'll have plenty more coffee and curveballs coming your way. Until then, I'm Cory McCartney, that's Shooter Hunt, and we'll see you at the Diamond.